The average modern human touches their phone 2,617 times a day. We check it the moment we wake up, while we eat, and even in the middle of deep conversations with the people we love. We call it staying connected. We call it searching for information. But behind that glowing glass, something deeper and darker is happening. Without realizing it, we are surrendering our brain's internal compass to algorithms designed by thousands of the world's smartest engineers. Today, we aren't facing a lack of discipline problem. We are in the middle of a massive war. A war for the single most valuable resource you own, your attention. Welcome to the EduMind Project. Today, we are dissecting the dopamine trap, why your brain finds it so difficult to focus, and how the reward system inside your head has been hijacked by the digital world. To understand why you can't focus on a book or your work for more than 10 minutes, we have to understand dopamine. Most people think dopamine is the pleasure molecule. That's wrong. Dopamine is the molecule of anticipation. It is the chemical your brain releases when it expects something new or rewarding. In the wild, thousands of years ago, dopamine helped our ancestors stay on the hunt. Maybe there's food behind that tree, dopamine would say. The problem is, our brains still have the same hardware as our ancestors, but we now live in a world that offers digital berries every single second. Every time you pull to refresh, every time that red bubble appears, your brain is placing a small bet. Maybe this time it's something exciting. Maybe this time someone likes me. This is called a variable reward schedule, the exact same system used by slot machines in Las Vegas to keep people gambling. You don't know when the reward is coming, and that uncertainty is exactly what keeps your brain hooked. You might think, what's the harm in a quick look? It was only 5 seconds. I'll get right back to work. In neuroscience, there is no such thing as a quick look. There is a heavy price to pay, called attention residue. Researchers at the University of California found that once your attention is diverted by a single distraction, like replying to one text, it takes an average of 23 minutes and 15 seconds for the brain to return to the same level of focus you had before the interruption. Think about that. If you check your phone every 15 minutes, your brain never reaches a state of deep work. You are operating in a permanent state of mental fog. You feel busy, you feel tired, but at the end of the day, you feel like you've accomplished nothing. This is because of context switching, forcing your brain to constantly close and reopen different folders of information. This process drains your brain's glucose faster than 4 hours of uninterrupted, serious work. Here is the most frightening part: down-regulation. Just like a drug addict, your brain has a defense mechanism. If you constantly flood your brain with dopamine spikes from short videos, sensational news, and notifications, your brain says, "This is too much. I need to lower my sensitivity." Your brain begins to reduce the number of dopamine receptors. The result? Normal things in life, reading a book, walking in the park, working deeply, start to feel boring and even painful. You no longer feel joy in the small things because your pleasure threshold has been pushed too high by your screen. You aren't lazy, you are experiencing dopamine resistance. You are trapped in the dopamine loop, where you seek stimulation not because you enjoy it, but because you feel uncomfortable if you don't do it. Boredom has become a physical threat. So have we already lost? Is our brain broken forever by technology? The good news is, your brain is neuroplastic. It can be retrained. But to rebuild your architecture of focus, we can't just use shallow tips. We need major surgery on our habits. The first step isn't about adding productivity. It's about subtracting the noise. In the next part, we will break down the anatomy of focus, how the part of your brain, called the prefrontal cortex, fights against distractions, and how you can strengthen it like a muscle in the gym. But before that, a challenge for you today. Put your phone in another room for 30 minutes after this video ends. Feel the itch. Feel the urge to check it. And realize that that itch is proof that a war is being fought inside your head. It's time to take back control. In next part, we'll learn how the manager in your brain works. I'll see you there. In the chaos of the digital age, your brain is a house divided. On one side, you have the executive, the part of you that wants to build a business, write a book, or learn a new skill. On the other side, you have the instant gratification, monkey, a primitive force that only cares about what's fun, easy, and shiny right now. To master your focus, you don't need more willpower. You need to understand the biology of the war happening inside your skull. Today we go inside the anatomy of focus. We're going to meet the manager of your brain and learn why it's constantly losing the battle against distractions, and more importantly, how to give it the power back. Meet your prefrontal cortex, or the PFC. In terms of evolution, this is the newest part of the human brain. It is the CEO of your mind. Its job is complex, goal setting, impulse control, and most importantly, directed attention. When you decide to sit down and focus on a difficult task, your PFC is doing the heavy lifting. It's trying to hold a single thought in place while filtering out millions of other sensory inputs. But here's the catch. The PFC is like a high-performance sports car with a very tiny fuel tank. It consumes a massive amount of energy, glucose. Every time you make a decision, even a small one like, should I check this email? You are burning the fuel your CEO needs to keep you focused. Now meet the PFC's ancient rival, the limbic system. This part of your brain is millions of years older. Its only job is survival and immediate reward. It's fast, it's powerful, and it doesn't need much energy to run. While your PFC is trying to work on your long-term goals, your limbic system is screaming, look at that notification. Someone mentioned you. There's a sale on that website. In a fair fight, the limbic system wins every time because it's hardwired for survival. To your ancient brain, a social media notification isn't just a ping, it's a potential social signal. That could mean life or death in a tribe. The secret to focus isn't killing the limbic system. It's about creating an environment where the CEO doesn't have to fight it every 5 seconds. So how do we empower the CEO? It starts with a concept called proactive architecture. Your focus is not a limited resource you use up. It's a state you protect. If you rely on willpower to resist your phone, you have already lost. Willpower is a PFC function, and remember, its fuel tank is small. By the time you've resisted your phone 20 times in a morning, your CEO is exhausted. This is why you find yourself mindlessly scrolling at 4 p.m. Your PFC ran out of fuel, and the monkey took the wheel. To fix this, we need to implement top-down control. Instead of letting the environment dictate your attention, you must design your environment to dictate your focus. The first step to strengthening your focus anatomy is monotasking. Modern culture glorifies multitasking, but neuroscience tells a different story. Your brain cannot do two cognitively demanding things at once. It's just task switching very fast. And every switch creates a cognitive switch cost. When you monotask focusing on one thing for a set period, you are training your PFC like a muscle. You are teaching it to hold the manager position longer. In the next part, we will discuss the ultimate goal of this training, the flow state, that magical moment, where the manager and the monkey finally stop fighting and start working together to create something incredible. But for now, remember this. Your focus is your life. What you pay attention to is who you become. Stop letting the world's loudest distractions win the war for your mind. Lock the office door. Empower the CEO. I'll see you in next part. There is a state of being where time disappears, where your self-consciousness vanishes and your performance skyrockets. Athletes call it the zone. Psychologists call it flow. This is the ultimate architecture of focus. It is the moment when the CEO and the monkey in your brain finally stop fighting and start dancing to the yang's same rhythm. When you reach flow, you aren't just working. You are becoming the work itself. Today we close the loop. We move from understanding the trap to mastering the escape. Welcome to the final part of our journey, the flow state. Flow isn't magic. It's a formula. According to Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, the father of flow research, this state happens at the intersection of challenge and skill. If a task is too easy, you get bored, and the monkey starts looking for a phone. If a task is too hard, you get anxious, and the CEO shuts down to protect itself. To find flow, you must pick a task that is just 4% beyond your current ability. It should be difficult enough to require your full attention, but possible enough to keep you from quitting. This is the sweet spot where your brain stops scanning the environment for distractions and pours every ounce of energy into the task at hand. Inside a flow state, your brain undergoes a radical transformation. Something called transient hypofrontality occurs. Ironically, the manager, PFC, that we fought so hard to empower in part 2 actually takes a break. It turns off the inner critic, that voice in your head that says, "This isn't good enough," or "What time is it?" When the inner critic goes silent, your creativity takes flight. You process information faster, you solve problems more intuitively, and you feel a deep sense of meaning. This is why flow is considered the most productive state a human can achieve. 1 hour in flow is worth 5 hours of distracted work. But here is the truth. You cannot wait for flow to happen to you. You must build a temple for it. Eliminate the friction. If your phone is in the same room, you have already invited the enemy into your temple. Define the goal. You cannot focus on working. You must focus on writing 500 words or coding this specific function. Respect the struggle. The first 15 minutes are always the hardest. This is called the struggle phase. Most people quit here, but if you push through, the gate to flow will open. We live in an economy that wants to keep you distracted. Your attention is the currency they are stealing every day. But now you know the architecture. You know how the trap works. You know your own anatomy, and you know how to build the solution. Don't let your potential die in the infinite scroll. Take back your mind. Build your focus, and find your flow. The world doesn't need more people who are busy. The world needs people who are fully present. I'm Brian, and this was the EduMind Project.